Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly discussion series that's hosted by the Chaldean Cultural Center in collaboration with U of M, Detroit Center, Unique Voices in Films, and CMN TV. I'm your host, Wiam Nemu, and my guest today is Mi Dong. Welcome, Mi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, Mi is currently volunteering her time in Korean Cultural Center of Michigan as the center's executive director, vice chairman of the board, as well as a board member of American Citizen for Justice. She retired from her director position in Pfizer after serving 25 years. So, in honor of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, we are inviting me as our guest to share information about the Cultural Center, which I want to give a little bit background of how I was introduced to this center that I wasn't aware exists. I was at Lawrence Tech University. They had International Week, and the center was there, and they were doing this beautiful Korean calligraphy as well as artwork, which I ended up getting my name done. It was
Mm-hmm.
very beautiful, very beautiful. I was so touched. And this is a tree, the cherry tree that was painted for me. So, in talking to the people that were there, I found, I'm always intrigued by the communities that we're surrounded by. And I felt like the Asian community is sometimes not as recognized it seems, or we're not aware of all its dynamics and its heritage and its history. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your life and your community involvement so that we can learn more about this community that's here in Michigan.
Okay, my life very long, but I have to make brief. So I came in mid 1970, and so I've been in the United States for so long time. I came from Korea. I was born in Korea, and I went to graduate school here, and I got the biochemistry degree, and working in hospitals and medical school, and then finally in Park Davis slash Pfizer. Later, Pfizer came in. So but my passion is always for mentoring young people. So while I was in the Pfizer, I was doing a lot of like science task force, women in science, and go out to school and talk about the science, things like that, and then got involved in the more community. And then in mid 2000, so 2000 actually, 2005, that I got contacted by the CAPA, which is Council of Asian Pacific Americans, and want me to come and help for fundraising. So that's how I got involved in the beginning, but then I really like to work with the young professionals and mentoring them. So I went in, and I was the president of the Council of Asian Pacific Americans. This is a not-for-profit organization from 2007 and 8. And then after I finished that, I came to our community, 2009, Korean community, because of a cultural center wanted me to come and help. So from that on to now, I've been a volunteer without pay, just for working as a fundraising and events and so on for the community center.
So, can you tell us about the Korean Cultural Center's history? When did it start? When did it open? Who were the founders?
Yeah, actually, you cannot really key point who is founder, but there is a few the people from the elderly from the two different Korean church or a couple different Korean church. They get together. They decided that it is needed for having cultural center, not just only the community association. So it was actually the Korean Community Association was started in 1965, but then we don't have any center until 2002. We bought in 2001 the current cultural center, and then we moved in 2002. So this year is very very, very meaningful year because the 20th anniversary of the center is exist.
Wow, congratulations. So
Yeah, so
what
I could say, yeah, can I just ask, say one more? Because it's all Korean communities that get together, but there's a few that has a more feel like we have to really share our cultures and we have to teach our cultures and we have to actually understand the community at large. It's just not our own community. So all those the feeling was exist and they work hard and they bought from they build up from scratch.
wow. And what are some of the programmings that you're offering at this time?
Yeah, so like the one you got from the Lawrence Tech, so the choreograph, and also the those yeah, that's a beautiful picture that with the brush. We have a very talented person. His name is Gyuchun Hwang, and also Byungjun Kim. They both are involved with the Korean Center right now. They are board of directors as well, and also we before we teach Korean dance, but the teacher left our country, so we are still looking for more. The dancers to come and teach. But anyway, we have like a camera teach. We also have a diversified programs. We work with also other organizations and so on and so forth. So if you are interested, just call. We have right now currently Saturday. There's the oil painting group. There's 10 people. They're getting every Saturday and drawing picture. They're just beautiful. And we have a Dano Festival this coming Saturday. We have the picture displacement, oil painting about the Dano Festival, and the kids come and do the drawings. And we have a ceremony and have a Korean dinner. So if you wanted to come over and try, you are welcome.
So
It's
this it's this Saturday, so that would be the 21st. You have a
yeah,
festival at the
yeah.
Korean Cultural Center. What time does it start?
It actually is 4 o'clock start, and you can look at those pictures. And 5 o'clock is the ceremony, and 6 o'clock is dinner. But if anybody want to come, we cannot really expand because we can because of what is the
The
COVID
COVID?
19,
So
pandemic
is it indoors or is it
situation.
outdoors?
So we have to limit to the people. So right, it's indoor, but we open door from front and the back, so the air flows.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, I have to
It's
say,
indoor, indoor. Uh, uh, uh,
yeah,
event.
we're having issues with our connectivity. Sorry. And I have to say, this these letterings, by the way, it's not just a matter of the words being translated or written, but
Looks like there is delay.
there was like so much of a meditative process. Watching him is very, very meditative. This is what I liked about him. Um, okay, I think that we're having internet problems. I'm sorry about that because the camera is
It's like
freezing.
communication wise.
Okay. Sorry, me. We lost you for a minute. The camera froze, but we have you back. So, me, you have over 30 years of experience in the healthcare industry. How has that experience informed your current work? Me, did you hear my last question?
I can hear you well, but nope. Now I can. I'm not sure this is gonna work well.
Yeah, I can hear you good now. So let's just ask this last question, and I will on our social media include about your events and the website that people can go and learn more. But just one last question. Your 30 years of experience in the healthcare industry, how has that experience informed your current work?
It's more of the how you can work with the people, because I work in not just in healthcare but a lot of project management and working with a group of people that I had to lead, and so it is a very good skill set to work with not-for-profit organization. I found out, and a lot of times that you have to be very patient. You have to hearing other people, and you have to embrace people to come in to work together. So in that sense, that I very thankful that I had that skill set, and as well as I really wanted to work with the people on healthcare side of it, because a lot of people they're afraid of learning and found out what is the best for them. So I'm not just only working in the Korean Center, but I work with the MMAP, which is Medicare and Medicaid assistant program as a counselor. And also I work with the Matter of Balance, which is a course that you teach the elderly for the taking care of their the health and balance in the elderly from 65 to, sometimes some people come in the class with the 90 years old. But all this was really had some effect from the pandemic, and because you cannot do any face-to-face with the people, so got to learn to use Zoom a lot, and a phone and Zoom, and that's how you helping people or teach course. But still, it is ongoing.
So would you say that this is one of your biggest challenges as a leader was during COVID, when you didn't have that one-on-one interaction with people, especially people that are sick, when this is when they kind of need the one-on-one interaction the most?
Well, what we did is we did like the care package, and so you give to the elderly, like a senior housing, so working with the Asian, I'm sorry, American Chinese Association, and together with them and with the 168 Mart, Asian Mart, and they put together the boxes, and we delivered that when it was a really bad time, it was 2020, to different senior housing, and give them. So it is more talking on the phone and other community method, communication method instead of face to face. If your face is the best, but second or third best is also still working well. So you can reach out to people that who needs help.
And what are your responses? What have your responses been to anti-Asian or anti-Korean opinions, and how do you combat negativity?
Yeah, that's a very difficult questions that you are addressing, because that's, I think, all of us really struggling with it. But I think that in the bottom line is you gotta be the better person. What I'm saying is you have to endure, not just only not talking, not about it, but you speak about it. You have to embrace them. You have to educate them. So education is a really important in the matter and awareness of those things are happening to people, so they understand why it's happening, and it's not their fault, but it is something that is happening and how they can prepare themselves. So it is more of the education is number one. You have to do it, and when it happens, you gotta be more positive than negative, because when you think about negativity, it's a spiral down. You never go anywhere. But if you think about how you can address this issue by either legally, by with some reporting for to the federal government, things what you can do, but in yourself also you can do by thinking positively and doing more of the making other people aware of what can be happen, so you can actually protect yourself.
And regarding the center, what is the future that you guys have envisioned for the center? What something programming or some kind of a project that you see maybe in 5 years from now?
Oh yeah, there's a lot to do actually, because first of all, we hope to get more fundraising, because the center is getting really getting old, so we need some remodeling and fixing. So that's our home, and not just only ours, but the community at large, because we're sharing our culture with others. So we hope that this culture center stay for a long time after we pray for young people. So I think that the younger generation need to come in more, and we have to have a more program for younger people, so they can actually come and have a passion for the center and do something for the community. So it's not just only when you come in and do the community, it's not only Korean community. You learn about it, how you're helping people, and how when we live not ourselves, we live with other people, and then that means you cannot be surviving by yourself. You have to understand others. Also, you have to share your joy. You have to also make other people happy. So that means that you gotta really working with everybody, that what you want to share, what you learn, and then that's how you can improve our community. So go back to what you questioned is the youth program that we plan to put it in. And also we're gonna we are hopefully starting in September together with the ACJ or ACA and other people there who is interested in teaching Asian history in United States to young people, because usually they don't learn that until they go to college, but in high school level, so they understand how the your ancestor whatever they did in here and contribution, and as well as the discrimination, the things that happen not just now, it was before, and that they have to be patient to overcome those difficulties.
You know what I love what you just said is that when you learn to live with yourself, that you learn to live with others. I love that. I never heard it said like this, but it's true. It has to start with yourself and with your own community, and respecting all of that and understanding who you are, so that you can open up and start embracing others and know the value of diversity. I really like that. So I guess, now we're introduced to this wonderful center. And I'm curious in regards to Michigan versus other states. Where is the Asian community, or is it? I mean, Asia is fairly big. It's not, sometimes same thing with the Middle East. People think that, or the Arab world, it's a huge place. There's many countries. They might share a similar language, the Arabic language, but each one is different in geography and just a lot of other aspects. So, how is the Asian community in the United States in general, and versus like Michigan? Are we a larger, smaller population than others? Where do the most Asians live in the United States? Do you know? Are you?
Yeah. Let's start with the Korean first, okay? So the Asian population is increased if you look at the census, but the Korean is in Michigan is much smaller. So we only have like 30,000 compared to, let's say, in Chicago is about 80,000, and we have a much more bigger community in Texas and LA, California, and the New York, New Jersey area. So they are very the larger is almost 3 to 5 times more than Michigan. So Michigan population is not that much. Now, overall Asian population, it was before the census 2010 is it was very low. It's 2%. Now it's went up to about 3%, 2.5 to 3%, because there's some movement from the Bangladesh and India. And there's more Indians coming in. So now, if you look at in Michigan itself, is before was the number one was Chinese, and number two is Filipino, number three is Korean, but now is more of Indian is number one almost, and Chinese and Indian is the top, and then the Filipino and then Korean below is more of the Vietnamese and other people. So it is something that changing, even though within the Michigan a little bit more percentage, but it's just too small. So we don't get much of attention. We really have to talk about what we can learn from Asian ethnic groups, and then what exchange cultures, and what that bring to Michigan is something that we really wanted to think about. And that's one of the reasons, a couple of years ago, we have MAPEC was started. I was a commissioner as well, but it is more of every Asian group of representing in that MAPEC, not everyone, but almost everyone, so that they can reach out back to their community and some education portion of it, and whatever you think that is needed for the community. But the outside is activity is much more than us, because we don't get much of per state or federal the support when I compare to LA or New York. So those things, because it's understandable, because it's less population is in Michigan. It goes by how many people there too. So you don't want people to leave Michigan. You want people to move back to the Michigan.
Yes. And I see what you mean. Yeah, it seems like because of, like you said, because of the less the population, but at the same time, that makes it even more important that, to keep the heritage, to understand the heritage, is to focus on that community. And also it's there's that dynamic of it. It's a smaller community, but at the same time, what you mentioned, it seems like it's quickly growing too. So to keep that in mind, yeah.
Yeah, and then also I think it will be good. It's not you are from Chaldean community, but people also do not understand what is Chaldean is different from other Arab groups, or there's how many Arab groups. I mean, when they're talking about Asian, they say, oh, there's so many Asians group, because you have all the South Asians and East Asians. If you were to together is 15, 20 countries, or your lump sum is Asian. Right, so it is sometimes people don't understand the Arab word, and I think it would be good if this is just for my wishes, that you guys have something as educational kind of series about the Arab, for the different groups, so why they become different groups, and what is it, religions of those groups, and so on and so forth. Because in lunar calendar, when we talk about it, we always talking about time is up. They talk about Buddhism, about Christianism, all those religion. I know we don't want to get into religion, because that is same as the politics. So you don't want to get into all those too, because it's deeper discussion. But I think that people should understand what they are talking about when they're talking about Chaldean, what they know about it. You know what I mean? So I think that will be very important, probably in your community and your cultural center, to deal with the people and educate people. And so
Yeah.
for us, same thing. What is a Korean? Is a Korean is a what? In old days, in new days, only LG and Samsung. What else do they have? What kind of traits they have? What kind of behavior they have? People need to understand that.
And I appreciate you saying that, and I totally believe in that as well. And that is why when we and you as well participated in the International Week at Lawrence Tech. The whole point is of showing who you are, being out in a way where we can, that I was introduced to a very beautiful side that I wanted to learn more. And
Mhm.
it was that presence that triggered inside of me that interest. And sometimes, we tend to, it's really, it's wonderful that when we discuss our similarities, our differences, our backgrounds, our heritage, but when you see it at work, it leaves a different imprint on you. And to me, I felt like I saw the community, the Korean community, its culture at work. It was beautiful. It was very meditative. There was nothing. I remember when I returned home and I was sharing my experience with people, and I said, there was some kind of a very meditative stillness into it. And there wasn't a lot of like, I'll give you this, you give me. It was just a giving. I felt a very wonderful giving. And I said, this is what I wanted to look more into it. And then I said, well, we have to also give back into, I felt like the community was very giving. And I thought, well, how can we give back and to also learn more? What makes this Korean community have this kind of outlook to go and because what the two men were doing with their artwork and with the calligraphy along with the other volunteers, what they were doing is a lot. That was a lot of work. There was a lot people lined up. All
Mhm.
these students were lined up and the event was over and the lines were still down. People were still waiting in line, and because everybody wanted their name written in Korean and they wanted the picture of the tree. And I thought, wow, they're working so hard. And none of this was paid. Just like you were saying, you're doing this work without pay. And they were doing it without pay. They weren't even saying, donate for anything like that. I gotta tell you, I was so impressed. It had been a while where there was such free giving, very
Mhm.
sincere, very loving. And then each person, like when they did their name for us, when the person he gave words of wisdom. He gave an additional gift aside from the calligraphy with your
Mhm.
name in Korean. He gave a gift of wisdom. He said, okay, you have this kind of personality and I leave you with these words. So
Mhm.
it was a very, very beautiful and spiritual experience. And I want to say I would love to learn more about your culture, and I will do that on my own, whether through my own research or by visiting or however it's done. And I encourage people to do that as well, because I did notice at that time on that day that we do tend to not focus on that community. We take it for granted. I think your personality is a little bit different as a culture, so there is you're not as loud, or you're not as the way you serve is differently. So sometimes we take those communities for granted when they have a rich ancient history. So I look forward to learning more about your community. I really do. And I appreciate you coming on today and sharing all this. And, we have like a minute left. Any last words that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, just wanted to tell you again that I'm not the what is it, the top leader of the society or the presenting Korean community. Not like that. Even though I'm Korean, I feel that in my whole life, I feel like I'm very fortunate to do well in the United States after I came to the United States, and also education that I had and the personality I have somehow to fit it in, right? So I mean, did not too bad, but it is something that I think all we have to share. So that's the main reason I'm volunteering. I wanted to give whatever I learned to the young people. If there is anybody, even one person, take that lesson and take away, I think that's the gaining, right? So because of their way of living and the way of their service into the community and the way they're embracing differences and all that is actually come from awareness and education and the people who tell them. I think a lot of time the wrong thing is that this social media give the wrong information to young people and they got into the different route or different side. So I think that some of the us our responsibility. Even a Korean center, far beyond my time. I think anybody who ever come in and they have a passion for it, they want to do something for themselves and as well as the community and community at large, that they need to have a better attitude and do things right, because it is not the short-term benefit that you are in the position, because you, if you think about those things, you will never grow the organization, you will never grow yourself, you will never influence other people, because the people are very, very smart. They can see through you and see through whatever you try to do. So don't think that you are the smartest person, you can con somebody else to go through it. That is not going to work, because and you need the patience, perseverance to do the anything that you want to contribute. So
Amazing. Very
but I,
beautiful. Very beautiful. Yeah, it's show who you are. And I think like that day when I met you guys, I felt like you showed who you really are, and it raised my interest. And thank you, me, so much for being with us today. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone, but it was really wonderful hearing your story. Thank you
thank you
everybody for watching.
for the invitation, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for watching, and have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye bye.